Hey everybody, how you doing? It's coming at you on 97.7 FM WVFF Radio, Veterans for Freedom Radio, the Truth and Broadcasting Corporation. And we're heading into Christmas time. Not sure when this is going to air, but we've got a little Christmas music going. It's a new song by James Seidel, Cask.
Snowflakes gently fall, covering the ground. Families gather close, sharing stories old and
Love that sound.
new. Joy and love surround as we celebrate this time under the
I hate getting on my
Carolina
Christmas shopping done. We'll talk about that in a second. But I did get a new Christmas present the other day. We're going to talk about that with none other, everybody's favorite, the illustrious Elaine Greenwood from Super Woke News.
Yay!
Oh, I've got the, or is it the? I'm kidding. All right, so yeah, I'll play a little Christmas music, and it is mid-December in South Carolina. We've got some crappy weather here in somewhere. Getting it on X, right? You can find her on Super Woke News, where she is telling the world how to write itself one post at a time. And me every day too, by the way. So we got a little bit of a Christmas present.
What did you get me, Jim?
I got you an investigation.
No. Does it have four
Actually,
wheels?
I didn't get you anything. Eric Bland got it for you.
That last year, though.
He did it all by himself.
Well,
I had nothing to do with it.
Eric's got a special gift coming from the ODC, right? The Office of Disciplinary Counsel.
The South Carolina Supreme Court Office of Disciplinary Counsel. You are correct. They have opened an investigation into Eric S. Bland, Esquire, super lawyer from Columbia, Charleston.
Or super lawyer, Eric Super Lawyer Bland. Is that how it goes?
That's it. That's how it goes.
Good to know.
This guy is losing his ever-loving mind, defaming me, and lying about me on a continual basis, and he won't stop. He's just like, you remember in Planes, Trains, and Automobiles, and they were yelling at each other in the hotel room? And he's like, yeah, you're like a chatty Cathy doll. You just whack. He just won't stop. That's him. He's a chatty Cathy doll. He just won't stop. Like, here's a little thing. When you're telling a story, have a point. To sit there and cast these false aspersions upon me, like everybody's supposed to believe you. But this is my sixth complaint now. Each time he does this, I just file another complaint. But they do have a complaint open. I received a letter from them on
And the way that goes is
December 9th.
when a member of the public, and this is a right we all have as members of the public, we have a right to respond to the organization that licenses attorneys, because they have an important and unique role in society, and you can't be running around half-cocked like an idiot and defaming people or mobilizing a herd of trolls to attack and dox people. But some people will say, well, the ODC doesn't do much, but isn't there a case recently where an attorney was suspended for 6 months or a year for cyber stalking?
Yeah, this goes back a few years. I think it was 2020, might have been 2021, actually. So not that long ago. It was June of 2021. So just a little over 4 years ago. And it was a case in the matter of David Paul, and I hope I pronounced this right, Trewick, where the Supreme Court in our land, held that Trewick's public statements tended to bring the legal profession into disrepute.
Yeah, ill repute, disrepute, yeah.
And violated the lawyer's oath, even though the comments were not tied to active litigation. However, we have some active litigation going on in this 392 case that his partners, Liz Farrell and Mandy Matney, are
Material witnesses in.
material witnesses in. Yeah.
Absolutely, they're material witnesses. Yeah. But I know because
Well, that Traywick case, though, I'll just finish it up real quick, and then you can talk on the Traywick case, because I know you brought up on it. The Traywick case demonstrates that attorneys can be disciplined for public conduct alone, even without trial involvement. But there's all kinds of involvement on this one, not only with the 392 case, but with the Stephen Smith case and all these other things. And honestly, I keep saying, Eric, you keep acting like a third grader, not a super lawyer. You're acting like a spoiled kid in the recess. I mean, if you don't like what I'm doing, pick up the phone and call me, because I know you have my number, because I've called you many times and we've texted many times. And so I don't know, call me, bro.
But you
you're not
mentioned
acting like an attorney. You're acting like a third grader, and I'll stand by that.
oh, he's
The
acting like,
Office of Disciplinary Counsel has opened an investigation into you.
but it's like he's so vulnerable or so easily provoked. It's kind of scary. This doesn't suggest to me a really healthy, well-rounded, grounded, mature adult, because he takes criticism very, very poorly, and then he attacks. And he's attacking you. There's something called an ad hominem attack. He's not attacking what you actually do or the specifics of what you're reporting. He's attacking you personally, and any way he can,
and spreading lies. Oh my God, lies.
Yeah, but he wants to hurt you, provoke you, bully you, harass you. And think about this. He brags about that he has access to all of these channels. He could be on CNN or Netflix or Hulu or anyway, ABC, NBC, CBS, Court TV, whatever. I think he's got a little tin can out there at the end of my driveway, and he's broadcasting. He's just everywhere. But
he calls me one of the biggest losers in this whole Murdoch saga.
Wow. That's just really so inappropriate. It's so immature. It's unraveling.
Well,
just,
here's the thing. He's got about 3,000 followers over on TikTok. I have 115,000 rabid Alec Murdoch fans. So I don't know who's trying to make a name for themselves. I think he's trying to make a name for himself off of me. He keeps saying that I'm trying to make a name off of him. I already have a name. And the Office of ODC is investigating into your name, my friend. Just knock it off. Be a man, be a superman, be a super lawyer, and listen, you're going to take criticism, but I'm not a lawyer. So
Jim, maybe this is what super lawyers do, and maybe the S doesn't stand for super lawyer. Maybe it stands for stupid lawyer. But anyway, the thing is that whether his numbers on X or whatever they are, or whatever, he is part of that Cup of Justice podcast that has millions of numbers. And any one of those people can be motivated or radicalized by the kind of rhetoric that Eric is spewing about you, and they could harm you. And so there are federal laws in South Carolina. There's South Carolina Title 16, Chapter 3, Article 17 about harassment and stalking, that I think he's run afoul of those. And then there's Title 18 of the U.S. Criminal Code at 2261A, federal stalking laws. And then, of course, there are repeated violations of the South Carolina Rules of Professional Conduct. So
yeah, here's the letter, by the way. I know sometimes it's hard for you to see it from your end on this platform, but it's a copy of the letter.
The letter to
me, telling me that they've received. Actually, I'll just get to it.
Yeah,
we've received your complaint and additional information against Eric Stephen Bland, Esquire. We will conduct an investigation into the matters you have reported. You are not necessarily to be contacted prior to a decision regarding your complaint. Therefore, if you have additional information or documentation to support your allegations, you should submit at this time. Well, hold on, ODC, because I got another one coming in the mail today.
Yeah. I totally it's clear that Eric Bland thinks he's above the Office of Disciplinary Counsel, that maybe his celebrity status gives him kind of some sort of special status within the South Carolina bar. I don't know where he got so far off the rails about the rules of professional conduct, but he holds, watching what he does eviscerates my trust in the South Carolina bar. If this
Well, he's going to be surprised because his post today says, that's okay. I have full confidence that the South Carolina ODC, when they get this supposed complaint, that this completely unhinged man supposedly filed against me will dispose of it in an expedited fashion and caution the public about filing frivolous ODC complaints against lawyers simply because he can. And then he goes on to call me a loser.
you know who
So
that's
I guess he's going to be surprised, I guess, that they have opened an investigation against him.
yeah,
And it's not frivolous.
it's not frivolous. They opened but
Unless now he's making fun of the ODC, which, you do so at your own peril, Eric.
no kidding, but that sounds an awful lot like Mandy Matney. That's the kind of legal reasoning that she has displayed. In her what has she got? 3 or 4 non-party trying to think what it is, her non-party motion to quash an amended subpoena. Okay, and so Mandy really thinks that she gets to decide what the laws of the state of South Carolina mean, and her interpretation somehow is superior. And she's just, the court has already said to Mandy, you're not special and you have to be deposed. And in this instance, she's a material witness. And yet that doesn't pierce the fog of Mandy Matney's awareness at all. And it seems as though either she's parroting Eric Bland or he's parroting her, but the two of them together are kind of frighteningly unaware of the rules of professional conduct, for one, and the rules that society has to comply with. Like when you get a subpoena and you're a subpoena to sit for a deposition.
I'm too busy. I can't go to your subpoena. I have a job. I'm too busy.
Get over it. Get over it. Suck it up.
I have a very successful podcast. Maybe you've heard of it. I'm too busy. I can't go.
I mean, the stupidity, the arrogance, and the sheer stupidity of saying that to the court, it seems that would anger the judge. He'd say, this Mandy Matney woman is delusional if she thinks she's special. She's not.
And I know Judge Keith Kelly. He's a good guy. I met him in the Evan Hawthorne, Larry Vaughn case up in, where was that? Up in Rock Hill. Anyway, very nice judge, and we exchanged some very nice words. He's a nice guy. I don't think he puts up with any BS at all. So we'll see what Judge Kelly does with that.
Yeah, I looked at the public index yesterday. He doesn't seem to have responded at all. I kind of hear through the grapevine that this has to be coming from Mark Tinsley, that Tinsley thinks he's going to get that some of the new evidence that Parker's has introduced will be inadmissible. He's going to get those texts stricken or whatever. If that's
did somebody tell Judge Kelly that?
Well, apparently not, because I didn't see it in the public index. But if that's his position, he has every right to take that position. Of course he would take that position, but he's got to condense it into a solid legal argument, commit it to, paper, black and white paper, and submit it to the court. And he hasn't done that so far. So just going on Liz and Mandy's podcast and saying, I'm going to do this or that, maybe they don't understand that broadcasting it on Liz and Mandy's podcast isn't the same as filing it in a court of law. And that the court of law...
Yeah, who do they think they are? Donald Trump? Even ruled by Twitter? There's only one Donald Trump, all right? Stop trying to be him.
Yeah, but for all the things that Donald Trump does or doesn't do...
I don't want to talk about Trump. It was just a side joke.
But he doesn't... Mandy and Liz are just stupid. There's no nice way to put this. These delusional women really profoundly don't know what they're doing. They're like, a monkey with a razor blade. They really don't know. They have all these followers that they can weaponize and motivate to harm people, but they don't know what they're doing. And they don't guard.
Yeah, I'm actually beginning to feel a little bit like Charlie Kirk here, the way they're weaponizing everybody and trying to come after me. And here's the funny thing, or interesting thing, whichever way you want to look at it, all they've done is attack me and make up lies about me. They have never talked about any of the evidence that I have brought forth. Now, some of the stuff I brought forward is from the public index that was filed on the ODC. I'd wake up in the morning and I'd have a friend of mine text me a link to it, and I'm like, oh shit, what is this? And then you open it up, and you're like, well, my day's planned. I think one day we even talked about it as being the 12 days of Christmas, because every single day there was a new filing.
Yeah.
But hey, speaking of Christmas, I look, you got a little snowman there behind you. What is that?
That's Dylan Nolan, the bouncy snowman. But over here, this is my family.
Oh, yeah, I see some pictures you got there. What do you got there?
That's my family and all my 35 kids. When people say Lane children, here they are. No.
Who is that?
What?
Who are all those people?
The dearest people on God's earth. These are just. Do you get a lot of Christmas cards? People don't send as many Christmas cards as they used to.
They've gone down lately, but I used to send them, and then just gets to be whatever.
Well, I loved it, but we always had the photo, and then the special handwritten thing, and then the special little brag about.
I remember as a kid, my mom. I was telling this to my daughter. I said, now, we have computers now, and you have Word and whatever thing you want to write with. I said, but back in the day, my mother would sit and she would write a letter. Here's what the kids did. Because I grew up with 5 kids, and so there was a lot to talk about. However, she would type on a typewriter, every single one, and she, because we didn't have like a Xerox machine or. Back in the day, I think they called it a mimeograph machine. You remember that word?
Yes.
Mimeograph. I think it was like purple or something. And so we didn't have fax machine. Didn't have all this fancy stuff we have today. And so she was sat down on the typewriter. I remember just listening to that for hours and hours. Maybe that's where I get my writing from. It's my mother.
If you could do that, if you could type that way, and then they had something called a correcting selectric that had a way to, when you made a mistake, it would cover up the mistake with a bunch of white. It looked like chalk.
This was white out. You had a little brush, and you make a mistake. You spell something wrong. You have to use white out, and then go back and try to align the typewriter. And it was always off.
And now talk into a thing, and it produces. And if you run it through AI, it'll produce a beautiful document. But I'll bet you if you have any of those letters, you probably love them.
I'm sure they're at my parents' house. She's passed now, but I'm sure that they're somewhere. So Eric Bland, there's another ones of Christmas, and there's quite a few different rules he's broken. And it's interesting. It probably doesn't even think he's broken any, but 4.4a, 8.4c, 8.4d, 8.4e, 3.6, 8.2a, and 3.6a, and that's just what I can remember to put in an article. But I do have that definite suspension from David Trawick, who has only in one post said something very horrific about someone, and he got a 6-month suspension. I have got 6 now.
Yeah, wow.
But he just keeps piling on. Like, okay, I'm sure he's going to pile on after this one and call me some more names. Like, dude, first of all, I don't know who your parents are and where you grew up, and you're going to probably tell me, I was in Philly and listen, stop calling other grown men names like you're a 3rd grader, because you're acting like a 3rd grader. How many times do I have to say this? Act like a grown man. Man up. Man up.
He drags the legal profession into the mud, because we want to be able to think that if we have advice from an attorney, especially when they give advice in public or when they appear in public, that there's a bit of decorum, and that what they are saying is meritorious and accurate, and not this 3rd grade level bullies on a playground kind of conduct.
Yeah.
Nothing meritorious.
So I don't get it, dude. Like, whatever. I mean, you want you shoot yourself in your own foot, go right ahead. It's called FAFO. Look it up, FAFO. Here's another one. It goes into we're talking about Liz Farrell, and you can't see this, but there's my new logo.
I saw it. Merry Christmas. I love
The
it.
CC News Network. I got a very Christmas festive thing going on there.
All
You
right.
can see it? All right, good. In this particular article, which was posted the other day,
Yeah.
It was Liz Farrell article that did not survive the record. And we're just going to dive into this a little bit because I think it's interesting. This goes back to the Parkers and the 392 case, which they have been constantly against Parkers for some reason. There's a severe hate for Parkers, and I that's one I don't understand. One, it's a business. Two, all they did was sell beer to an underage guy who used a fake ID. I mean, listen, it was awful what happened, but if that is what it takes for you to hate somebody, I don't understand this whatsoever. Why would you have hate?
Wait a minute. They bought the beer from they bought alcohol from Parker's, but Miley and Morgan and Connor we're not sure where they got theirs. And then they went to that oyster roast and spent 5 hours there. They got there about 7 and they left just after midnight, and they had stuff they were drinking there. Then they go over to Buford and get out and go to Luther's Rare and Well Done, and Connor and Paul drink more. But we don't know, what made them drunk. Nobody took their blood and said, well, now here you're sober, and now it's the Parker's alcohol that made you drunk. That's bullshit. Excuse me. That's not accurate, because they were drinking all night. They were drinking for almost 12 hours. So
yeah, and also, not to get into the weeds on who brought what and where, but Paul was the only one that bought beer from Parker's. Everybody else, I don't know where they bought their alcohol from, but everybody else brought a cooler with alcohol. So they bought it from somewhere, or they stole it from their parents. I don't know where they got it from, but so back to the 392 case, and there's an article that Liz wrote on December 13th, 2021. Liz Farrell, former journalist and now online personality, published an article where she sought to shut down permanently and emphatically allegations that she and her fellow reporter, Mandy Matney, had received confidential, non-public information from plaintiff's attorney Mark Tinsley in the Mallory Beach wrongful death litigation. And when I say in this article, we're going to follow through this now, she did not hedge, she did not qualify, and she did not equivocate. And what we have here up on the screen is what she wrote, and I won't get into a whole lot of it here, but she says Parker's attorneys claim Tinsley shared these confidential materials with Matney sometime in the summer of 2020.
Yep.
And let me address this at this point, she says, as much as possible, because Parker's attorneys, perhaps eager to create some sort of false equivalency as it relates to the allegations against their client, continue regurgitating this lie in their court filings. It's awful nasty language for a journalist that's trying to be down the middle. But anyway,
unbiased.
I continue. So she goes, so here it goes. At no point was anyone from this news outlet ever giving access to confidential mediation documents in the Mallory Beach case. Period.
Wow.
Exclamation point. That's what she said.
Wow. Well, but I guess she forgot that she wrote. I don't think she wrote. I think a lot of this is Mark Tinsley's language. But when she was deposed, 2 months ago? Less than 2 months ago?
Well, she says, here's what did happen. That Mandy Matney asked Mark Tinsley to furnish her with a quote from Mallory Beach's mother, Renee Beach, for a story she was working on last summer, and Tinsley provided her one. That's it. Okay? All right, so let's break this down a little bit, because, yes, we're going to get into that deposition here shortly.
No, but
the claim she made,
that's gaslighting. That's gaslighting. At this point,
that's gaslighting 101, and we're going to tell you why here in a moment.
Right.
So here's what she made publicly, all right, that she and Matney never received confidential mediation materials, that any suggestion to a close relationship with Mark Tinsley was absurd, the reporting was entirely based on public filings, which means it's the public index that an attorney files with the clerk of court, and then the clerk of court uploads it into the system, and then everybody can see it. They did not receive it before it was made public. And to reinforce that narrative, Farrell mocked the idea of a personal relationship with Tinsley, writing, "A Facebook friendship is hardly a personal relationship." And so that message was unmistakable. There was no back channel. There was no privileged access. There was no coordination. That, as we're going to find out, was a lie. Because here's what she admitted to under oath, and I'll let you talk about it here in a second. Because on the sworn deposition in November 2025, Beach v. Parker, Liz Farrell admitted the following in her deposition that she, in fact, did watch a confidential mediation video in the Mallory Beach case. She watched it in 2020, well before the litigation filing referenced it. She watched it at her home, and the link was sent directly to her by Mark Tinsley. She watched it because Tinsley asked her for feedback. This was not accidental exposure. This was not secondhand reporting. This, my friends who are playing along at home, is called direct access, provided by plaintiff's counsel for a strategic purpose. And that single admission alone makes her article denial false. But it didn't stop there.
It makes everything she was publishing false. It makes her persona false. It makes this myth that Mandy and Liz were these warriors, these journalistic warriors, false. Liz has a personal relationship with Tinsley. Whatever that means, I really don't know, but it's there. Can't deny it. And she's lying to her public. How many times can a journalist flat out lie and we still believe them?
Yeah, well, she also publicly downplayed or denied any involvement in the mock juries or focus groups related to the Parker litigation. Now that one, it just blows my mind, because she admitted that in her deposition that Tinsley did ask her for help to recruit the participants, but she personally contacted individuals to sit on the focus group, that the focus group did occur. She was physically present, and it took place in Tinsley's office. They were watching it. The focus group wasn't in Tinsley's office, but they were watching it because she observed the jurors live on Zoom. And afterwards, according to her deposition, she gave feedback to Mr. Tinsley. And mock juries are protected attorney work product, and journalists do not participate in them, and especially while covering the same litigation, the exact same litigation. And yet, according to Farrell in her sworn deposition, that's exactly what she did.
She's also alone with Tinsley.
I want to make, for the people playing along at home, I want to make a very clear distinction. This is not something the Parkers are saying. This is not something I'm saying. This is not something Elaine is saying. This is something Liz Farrell said.
Under oath.
Under oath. So her original statement, she had nothing to do with it. She blew away her own article and credibility, in my opinion, forever with this relationship and this allegation. And then, of course, after the deposition, what do? They go after the attorney who questioned her, Mark Moore. Let's go assail that guy. And they wanted every one of their listeners to file an ODC complaint. That the one Eric Bland was just saying that I'm the crazy one for filing an ODC complaint, but yet he was there listening to his podcast buddies say, file a complaint.
Now, wait, here's the thing. So on November 3rd of this year.
See the absurdness of all this?
No, incredibly so, yes. So on November 3rd, she shows up for this deposition, 2025. And at that point, Mark Tinsley is representing one of the parties in the lawsuit. And all of a sudden, without notice to opposing counsel, he says, well, and I'm representing Liz Farrell too. Well, he can't be representing her too without first giving notice to the opposing counsel that he's going to do that. And they would object that she's a material witness in this case, and he can't be representing Renee Beach and a material witness. It's a huge conflict of interest. So he doesn't understand the rules of professional conduct a whole lot better than Eric Bland. But
yeah,
he had to be thinking, as Liz is testifying, oh, Liz, shut up. you're destroying not only this case, but my legal career. Because what I've been doing here, I think that entire 392 case is a fraud on the court. Tinsley knew that he had disseminated this information to Liz. He didn't ask her. She testifies she did not sign a non-disclosure agreement with him, which violates those rules of mediation, which Parker points out. But it's totally unethical. Everything they've been doing is unethical. And I think that the reason they think they can do it is because they have a deal with Hulu, or they have a deal with Netflix, or they helped to produce Netflix, or at one point contributed to it, with Mark.
Yeah.
And that she thinks that she somehow is above the laws of this country. They all seem to, actually. And I think that insofar they're so deep into their.
Listen, she's a very busy person. She can't be bothered with these depositions. So in the relationship Farrell said didn't exist. And in December 21, Farrell dismissed allegations of closeness with Tinsley as ridiculous. This was in her article in 2021. But under oath, again, here comes a different story. She admitted under oath, I'm not making this up. She admitted these, that she and Tinsley became friends. She trusted him. She referred to him as her ride or die. And that's a huge statement. And she testified that he is one of the most trustworthy people I know in my life, unquote. That, ladies and gentlemen, is not a Facebook acquaintance. It's not a journalistic distance. And that is a personal relationship. Precisely what she denied to her readers in 2021. So which Liz Farrell do we want to believe? And then you get into the private messages, okay? The text messages, where she repeatedly referenced non-public information provided by Mark Tinsley, updates about the subpoena before they were public, internal settlements and dynamics, assessments of witnesses, opinions attributed directly to Tinsley. And in one exchange, after initially attributing information elsewhere, Farrell corrected herself and said, it was really Mark who told me. And that sentence was a quiet confession behind the loud denial of the mediation reel.
There's more messages, though, about the concern that her colleagues had that Tinsley had gotten her to do something illegal, and then concerns about her emotional attachment to Tinsley that wasn't healthy for her. That was a huge concern. And she admitted in her deposition on November 3rd of 2025 that she would publish verbatim what Tinsley told her, which is not objective journalism. That is being a PR person for Tinsley, or it's being part of his legal strategy, but it is not journalism at all. So any journalist shield she might have had or could have ever claimed, she's obliterated. She's
once she shared it, yeah. And here's Mandy's response. Go ahead.
Asked her to repeat that. He said, "Are you telling me under oath that you would repeat what he said verbatim?" And she said, yes.
Yeah, she did say that under oath. So Matney's response, again, it's their MO. It's what they've done to me. It's what they've done to everybody. They don't have a different way of doing things. This is it. Insult instead of fact. So after the deposition, Matney responded on Facebook, not disputing the sworn testimony of what she said versus what she said in public. I'm talking about Farrell. But they attacked the attorney who asked the questions, Mark Moore.
Right.
She referred to him as a POS attorney. And for those of you at home, I'll let you figure out what POS means. And accused him of harassment and bullying. Again, they're calling him, in one sentence, a POS attorney, and then say he's the one that's harassing and bullying. They just called him a POS. And what she did not do, and we just talked about this with Eric Land, is deny any of the facts. Deny that she watched the mediation video. She didn't talk about that. Deny Tinsley sent it. Deny Farrell gave feedback. Deny the mock jury involvement. Deny the friendship. The silence is telling. They do the same thing to me all the time. They're going to do it after this show. They're going to attack me and not what I'm talking about. But what I'm talking about is the truth. It's not me and my truth. This is Liz Farrell's truth.
But
documented Liz Farrell truth. Not only what she said in public, what she said in text messages, what she said in deposition under oath.
Jim, what they're doing when they go to this podcast is they are weaponizing their cult followers to go after Mark Moore. They encourage their followers to file an OCD complaint against
Well, they've
him.
done it to me. They done it to me. They did it on their podcast, where I think they have sunk to an all-time low and
They're
to a level that
crying.
should trouble anyone with a basic sense of decency.
It's not just an all-time low. This isn't about how low. It's not a limbo contest. What they're doing is violating state and federal anti-stalking and cyber-stalking laws. When you incite a group of people to anger.
The FBI is listening to this, by the way.
What?
I said, I hope the FBI is listening to this, by the way, because you're correct on your assumptions.
I'm absolutely spot on. And that's why I was trying to interrupt you there. This is way more important than just that they've mined a new low. I don't really care how low they go, but when they violate state and federal law, this is dangerous. And this isn't the first time they've done this. And there's that list of people that they tried to bar from that South Carolina School of Journalism event that they had.
Me.
And
Me, Seton Tucker.
But those people had their addresses published for the fans. I have in an ODC complaint, I didn't file yet, but actually they're talking about a guy named Les Aker had filed a complaint against Eric Bland. Eric knew about it, and it starts to speculate about, I guess maybe he didn't know who'd actually filed the complaint, but he knew the complaint had been filed. So he's on that podcast speculating about who it might be. And I'm one of the people he's speculating about. And he's encouraging his followers to go after me and to go after these other people. And he's got his followers saying, we'll figure it out. Don't worry, Eric, we'll go after him. We know what to do. Well, what they've done in the past is show up at people's houses, harass them, harass their children. It's frightening.
Yeah. Send Sarah Glass and Ginny Jams over to just do their evil deeds. It's awful. Hey, listen, they're going to joke and laugh about this Charlie Kirk thing. I am dead serious.
It's we did Les and I did a live show, 5 hours with an attorney from North Carolina named Karen Matterson, and she said,
yeah, I listened to quite a bit of that. I turned it off, and then 5 hours later, I turned it back. I'm like, oh, man, God, they're still talking.
No, but I mean, it was long. But it speaks to how frightening it is when you've got Liz and Mandy, who are really profoundly stupid, but they're very willing to incite people. And they've got these enormous numbers of people around the globe who they're not screened for being mentally sound. We already know, I hate to bring this up, but we know that people that are unstable can stab people. There's a brutal murder out in Brentwood just over the weekend. And, you don't use your bully pulpit the way Liz and Mandy do to stir people up to want to incite anger or violence toward anybody. You just don't do it. And they've done it many, many times.
Yeah, well, here's the new low. They accused me of fabricating my cancer diagnosis.
That is I agree. That's just despicable.
I mean, cancer is not a rhetorical device. It's not a talking point, and cancer is not a punchline. And they were using it as a punchline, and they were laughing, and Eric was right there with them. Anybody who's lived through cancer and stood beside a loved one who understands the physical and emotional, financial toll it exacts, the surgeries, the treatments, the side effects, the fear, the uncertainty, honestly.
And the pain.
And the pain. They are not things that decent people
don't do.
Mock.
No, you don't do that. I don't care who your role model is. You don't do that.
Again, they didn't go after the evidence. They came after me and tried to call me a liar and say that I was lying about cancer. Whoever came up with that idea is just, I don't know. I don't know what kind of rock they crawled up from underneath, but this is just 100% cruelty. And that everyone it should tell you everything you need to know about Matney, Farrell, and Bland. They'll sink to any low to protect their narrative. And I, no journalist, and me especially, shouldn't feel compelled to prove their illness by producing medical bills or records of private health information to satisfy these online smears. But knowing the evil in the world that's out there, I put that out when I was diagnosed of what I was diagnosed with, and what I was going to be going through. I tried to post some stuff when I was in the hospital for 15 days in December 2023, but it was almost nearly impossible because I was out of my mind, medicated and couldn't talk. And, I almost died. But I did post this video. It was 15 days after I had stage 4 cancer diagnosis and surgery. It was 15 days after I gotten out of the hospital, which I spent 5, I think, in ICU. I even had some misspellings in this post. I mean, the pain at this time was excruciating. Painkillers made my mind mush, but see if you can listen to this. Oops.
Just take your time.
Thoughts, prayers. You guys were behind my videos, reposting them, commenting.
Look at my face.
I think in a couple of the hospitals really are.
I mean, my face is still kind of big.
Happy, all drugged up.
Oh my God.
But I got off of that. I'm not on anything right now. But I'm healing.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
All I wanted to say.
I said I wasn't on anything right now. So that was December 31st.
So things don't change, do they?
Jim, we care. I mean, like,
all I want to say is
you're so brave.
My voice is getting better, but it's weak.
Just
so
don't.
I can't do it live for a while.
We can't, period.
Huh?
You don't people, period. If you disagree with somebody, stick to the issues, disagree with civility. No, you're not, you're not saying they can't have a different point of view. They can. They absolutely can. But it's right to observe that they created a fake narrative that they've monetized extraordinarily well, I guess, but it still is a fake narrative built on absolute distortions.
Listen, you've got public figures that use cancer insinuations or faking cancer as a weapon to discredit reporting, me. That harm extends well beyond me, the intended target. It literally lands on every patient currently in treatment. It lands on the families who have lost mothers, fathers, children, spouses. They have trivialized the suffering of millions who have endured quietly and bravely. I mean,
yeah.
How awful of a human being do you have to be to do that? And when you mock cancer, I mean, it's or implied that it was fabricated. You're not attacking me as a journalist. You're disrespecting every person who has ever fought this disease. Every family still. Listen, I was at the doctor yesterday. I'm still dealing with this. I've got to have more surgeries. So, I mean, I hope you got your laughs off of pretending that, did Sarah Glass from Bluffton, South Carolina, did she tell you that? And some of these fake anonymous people, and then you just took it and ran with it. I guess I don't know. I don't know anymore. But this is not accountability. This is not journalism, and it's not behavior worth professionals who claim the moral authority in the public. And on top of that, anybody who doesn't think that is attacking me has got to get their brain rechecked, because you've been listening to them too long. I mean, they're literally attacking me for pretending to have cancer.
Wow.
Weeks maybe.
Does that look like I'm pretending?
I'll have to stick with this. I'll try to do a Murdoch video tomorrow.
Look at my mouth looks all sideways.
And your voice to come back, the strength of your voice.
Yeah. So at that time, the reason I almost died, I'll tell you that real quick, is, and I've told this before, but so I had all these tubes and everything coming out of me and in my nose, and And surgeon came by and clipped this one thing. It was a couple of days after. I think it was the 4th. So it was probably 3 days after the surgery. And so I had built a lot of just a phlegm, mucus, whatever, in my throat and all over the place. And it started to rattle that around, and I started to cough. And when I started coughing, I couldn't breathe. And in fact, the person that was in the room with me said, you know those gloves that they wear at the hospital, the purple ones? She says, your face turned purple.
Wow. Yeah.
And you stop breathing. And the nurse I had, poor guy, he just came he was in ICU, working in ICU. He just, as I was told later, he'd come out of working at like a nursing home or something like that. They threw him in the ICU. He didn't know what to do. He literally walked out the door and said, "Help." That's what I was told. And it just so happened that the guy who was in charge of the floor, the doctor who was in charge, was in the room next door. And they called a code, and they said there was about 15 people in my room, and they were ready to trach me because I wasn't breathing and literally turned purple. And so, when they intubate you, they put this intubation tube down down your throat so it can breathe for you. And to keep it there, they inflate what's called a balloon, I think it's called. And that takes time to deflate. And that's why they had clipped that thing on my nose, because they were going to pull that out and they were going to deflate the balloon and then intubate me, so take that tube out so that I could breathe on my own. But at this point, the doctor just made a call and said,
"Get it out.
We just got to get it out." And they pulled it out with the tube still being inflated, which basically tore through my voice box, vocal cords. I couldn't talk. I mean, that's about all you got out of me after.
I remember.
Yeah. And that lasted for a long time, and I had to have multiple surgeries on that.
They won't even come back for a while. I remember
this isn't my voice that I had prior to surgery. I mean, I like this voice, but it's not the voice that I had prior to surgery.
So
it's different.
To mock any of that, and then having it be such a virulent kind of cancer, and the treatment was so painful, to mock any of that is just ugly. I'm sorry. I
have to mention the fact I live with it every day, that this could come back. It's called adenoid cystic carcinoma, and it could come back. I belong to a Facebook group that they talk about. I read one just last night. They were cancer-free for 8 years, and it just reappeared.
I know.
So Yeah. If it comes back, if I'm lucky and it comes back, maybe I've got 20 years left, but it's probably more like 10 to 15.
Yeah.
If it comes back. It could not come back, but
Jim,
I'm still monitoring. I'm still doing every 6 months. So anyway, I hope that Eric, you and Mandy and Liz just had a grand old time laughing about me faking it. I can send you over the bills if you guys want to pay them, just to prove it to you.
Yeah.
I think my radiation alone was about $600,000.
Jim, they go really, really low. And then they also attack you about something that I know we're not going to talk about, but at some point we are. And they're wrong about that one too. And it's
listen, they're not right about anything, but
they're not right about anything, but they're ugly about a lot of stuff. And
ugly about a lot of stuff.
About getting that corrected, because they, for some people that are supposed to be such great investigative journalists, they didn't bother to understand what the hell they're talking about. But anyway, yeah, so we can do better in this country. We better do better. We need to do better. We have to, we need journalists that do investigate and do care, and care to get it right, and not this mad obsession with monetizing a narrative that I don't know that they wholly created it or just created 75-80% of it, but it's enough. It's enough.
Well, so my question goes back to Farrell and this reporting that she had. Is it about the truth? I mean, Farrell told her readers unequivocally, she said that something never happened. Remember that period, exclamation point?
Yeah.
But under oath, she admitted that she did, which only leads to one question. I think you said this earlier in our broadcast. If and this is an if Liz Farrell lied in her news article to protect Mark Tinsley, what does that say about anything she has written or spoke about in any case that Mark Tinsley was involved with?
Right. And since
And that question, ladies and gentlemen, for you playing at home again, that is not harassment. Do not say that saying that question is harassment. Because in one sense, she says one thing publicly, and then privately in a text message says another thing, and then under oath says a completely different thing. It's not bullying, and it's not defamation. It is the unavoidable consequences of a published denial colliding with sworn testimony.
And we have a right to, they put it out there in public. She publishes, we didn't go into her home and say, Liz, what do you think? She published these news articles, and they published like 2 or 3 a week. I mean, we were bombarded. I have hundreds of them. And they had such a toxic narrative about Parker that to me is just 100% generated by Tinsley. In fact, when she admits under oath on November 3rd that she would publish verbatim what he's saying, I could tell we could go through them and say, yep, this is Mark Tinsley, this is Mark Tinsley, this is Mark Tinsley. It's not Liz and it's not Mandy. Among other things, they have no understanding of the judicial system. None, nada. So anytime they published an article that seemed to reflect that they did, I think that those are those verbatim Mark Tinsley articles. But they just hammered away consistently at a false narrative about the death of Stephen Smith, a false narrative about Greg Parker entirely, a false narrative about their relationship with Mark Tinsley. If you're just the PR person or the legal strategist or part of the legal strategy team for a civil attorney that's got some big civil litigation, you need to admit that. And you are not a journalist at that point. The journalism shield laws don't protect you. You're not a reporter. You're a PR person. You're part of the legal strategy team. So
right.
They chose. We didn't say you're not journalists. They defined themselves. They chose to conduct themselves in a way that obliterates their claim to journalism. So Mandy doesn't have protection from the shield law, and even so, she would still a journalist could still be subpoenaed and deposed. They would just have questions in a deposition that they would probably object to answering, in which case a judge could decide question by question whether they had answered or not. Because not every question you ask a journalist is related to something that's protected by the First Amendment. But I think before you claim that you have First Amendment protection, you ought to have read the First Amendment and understand what it means. And I don't believe Liz and Mandy have the biggest clue what it means. But it doesn't mean journalists get to just say and do anything without any accountability whatsoever. And that seems to be what they think it means. But
well, that's true. I mean, in the article that she wrote in 2021, she asked her readers to trust her.
Yeah.
But the sworn testimony that she gave gives them reason not to.
And it wasn't.
And for that, ladies and gentlemen, they attacked me for having cancer, or they said I didn't. By the way, I was just thinking as we were talking about this, I should tell this to my surgeon that ripped open my face for 7 hours and tore out the roof of my mouth and my leg and everything that he did. Because I'm cut down here, down on here, and down here, and he like ripped my face back. I said, hey, do you have a video of that? I'd love to watch it. He's like, no, I pretty much had your face wide open on the table for 7 hours. You don't want to see that.
No, I think you have to be a serial killer to want to see a human body trying to. Yeah, no.
My body.
Why would anybody? I hate to keep beating this dying horse, but why would you even go that low? That's just not. The other one is
to discredit me. Say that he's going to lie about that. He's going to lie about anything. I'm like, so who's the liar now?
People that know at least 100,000 people that followed you through cancer and followed you as you slowly got your voice back and got your strength back and returned to being a more vigorous and vibrant investigative journalist. We followed that journey. So they're not only, it's like they're gaslighting you, they're gaslighting those 100,000 people. We saw that. What are they saying? We didn't see it. I hate to, I can think of a whole bunch of profanity that's about to bubble out right now because I'm not that nice a person. And I'm sitting here trying to remain civilized, but they're really not nice people. And it certainly isn't in the spirit of Christmas to be this. They're going to get a lot of coals in their stocking, I would say.
Well,
But
Eric's getting a big piece of coal in his stocking with from the ODC. I mean, listen, he's coming at me because he thinks I did this. Eric, I didn't do anything. Let me get the microphone up here so you can hear this. I didn't do anything. Your actions did this.
Yeah.
I'm not the super lawyer. You are. Start acting like it.
And
stop defaming me. Stop lying about me. Stop harassing me. Stop stalking me online. All these things that you're doing. Stop. I'm sending out another complaint today. It's the 6th one. You really need to stop because this is becoming a pattern. And now I'm starting to feel threatened by your online threats of people to come after me with the amount of lies that you have said. This is how Charlie Kirk ended up dead. And I don't want some crazy in my front yard doing anything. So stop it. What you're doing is unethical. It's wrong. And I don't know any other words I can think of that I can say on the radio. But you just need to stop.
And they need to stop. They need to stop it with you. They need to stop it with Mark Moore. Mark Moore did not make Liz Farrell. He didn't. He had nothing to do with what she testified to under oath.
Hey, I don't know Mark Moore.
But he didn't.
And that's another one. I'm working for the Parkers. I am not working for the Parkers. I am not collabing with the Parkers. Parkers aren't giving me anything. I get everything off of the public index, just like everybody else.
But
so stop. I mean, I was working for Murdoch. I was working for J.B. Miller. I was working for. It seems like every town I go into, I'm working for somebody. I'm not.
And if they don't like the truth, that's all.
Stupid.
They don't like. Liz has to feel horrible about what she said in her deposition because it does expose a lot of lies she's been telling for a great deal of time. So I'm sure
Mandy's deposition is going to be coming up if the judge allows it, and I think they will. And she doesn't know, I guess, what to tell the truth about or what to lie about, because she doesn't know, I guess, what text messages that subpoena that Callie Lyons gave him. There's a lot.
Well, I think, we've talked about this. I think Will Folks could be saying a lot about what happened. What Parkers wants to know is very specific. I mean, they're quite specific in this motion here about what they want from her and that it's material. They're not trying to harass her. You can't say being asked a question isn't harassment. Grow up, but she's a material witness. They wanted to know basically some very specific questions about what she knew, when she knew it, and who gave her what, and that sort of thing. But since both Liz and Mandy were employees of Will Folks at relevant times in this case that are material to the claims made in the case, and that's very clear, I think that he could be an excellent witness to say, well, here's what was happening. Because I don't think Will is as neurotic or as delusional about. I think Will would tell the truth under oath. I just don't think he would want to be part of a fraud on the court, or I don't think he'd want to be part of any miscarriage of justice. And by the way, that's what is happening here. This arrangement that they had with Tinsley was intended to sway potential jurors. It was intended to harm Parker's. It was actually, they were doing to Parker what they were claiming Parker was doing to Renee. They were trying to bully Parker into weakening his resolve to defend the lawsuit so they could get a lot more money. And so I think that Will kind of
The
has.
evidence appears to point in that direction. Yeah.
Yeah, I think so. I don't have a dog in the fight. I don't know Mr.
Neither
Parker.
do I.
Yeah, I don't.
Although Parker does have some good sandwiches when I go in there. They have those little ready-made things. You just go in and grab a sandwich.
If I had to go to a gas station to stop in, you look at them. They're clean. They're well run. I'd stop there for gas. I'd stop there to pick up
They even have those you can check yourself out. Self-checkout things. They're the first gas station I think I've seen do that.
Wow. Yeah.
That deserves an applause, I agree. Yeah. So, anyways, there's your plug for today. I'm still not working for Parker's.
He really, they keep their parking lots clean. They keep we've got some gas stations here in town, and I don't think I love the people, so I hope they're not watching this. I'm pretty sure they're not, but I don't think they've ever swept the parking lot, or they don't, the store, the concrete in front of the store is greasy. It's so dirty. And, I don't think they clean the ladies' room and the men's room all that often, or certainly not more than once a month, maybe, if that, and so it's, you're not going to eat any food that they're preparing. That's for sure. And that's what we have. So to have a Parker's 55, that'd be great. It's a nice business. So anyway, but see, there was money to be had I think that
money and power. It's always about money and power. I'm doing some things on Bamberg County. It's a complete hot mess and a dumpster fire over there. And it's about money and power. It always comes down to money and power. Money and power, throw a little sex and drugs in on the side. And you got a recipe for disaster.
In Bamberg County, there's nobody that's going to be writing a check to fix that. The taxpayer is going to be left holding the bag, right?
Oh, they're already holding the bag. They just don't know it. That's another show. That's a complete disaster.
Yeah, that is another
Anyway, I think we should play some music. What do you want to play? You want to get out and some Christmas? Let's just play the Christmas music on the way out because...
Christmas, yes.
Joy and love surround as we celebrate this time.
Joy and love surround.
Under the Carolina sky where memories come alive.
Under the Carolina sky where memories come alive.
The glow of light.
It's such an upbeat little song.
It is. It's a Christmas classic.
It is an instant Christmas classic. Produced by yours truly. This is not some song I'm playing that I found. This is mine. It sings about snow, but I don't think we're going to get any snow for Christmas. You might.
Oh, we almost did. It was so cold here yesterday. Wow. Yeah.
Yeah. All right. So we'll wrap this up. That's what's going on in the 392 case. That's what's going on with Eric S. Bland, Esquire. He's got 6 now complaints against him with the ODC, and they have formally opened an investigation with him, even though he thought that they were going to throw it out and laugh at me. They did not. We are on 97.7 WBFF Veterans for Freedom Radio, the truth in broadcasting vibration. And we got to see our buddy Frank here soon, too. We had that other show that we did with him. Hope he's doing well. I haven't talked to him in a while, but wish the best.
What was the other show called? True Crime in the Low Country.
Is it Frank on Target?
No, that was his. That was his.
Another show?
That was his screen name. We did First Cup, but. I don't know. Some of the.
I think it was True Crime in the Low Country.
It was True Crime in the Low Country. I saw it. It popped up.
Now it's Swap Justice Radio.
Yeah.
I forgot to mention that at the beginning of the site. Swap Justice Radio. 97.7 FM. Here's the Swap Justice Radio song. This is a good one, too. It just sounds like you're down in the swamp. Somewhere in Edisto where the... what is that? Spanish moss hanging from the trees. I actually love the Spanish moss. I know it's a weed down there, but it makes the trees look really creepy, especially at night when you're trying to track down criminals. Anyway, We're out of here, as Frank says. You can catch Elaine Superworld News on X. She's changing the world one post at a time. And I am Prime and Cask. Find me on TikTok, find me on Facebook, find me Instagram, find me really anywhere, or at primingcast.com and on YouTube right here. I hope I can say those other social media names here on YouTube. And Spotify. We're on Spotify.
Oh,
Did you know that?
I did not.
We're everywhere. See you, everybody.
Bye-bye.